What reclaiming narrative means to me is owning the story of our history, owning the story of our lived reality, and owning the story on or reclaiming what's been put out there about us as black men. So a lot of the time, I remember growing up, you see, there was a lot more social engineering when it came to the narrative on black men. We're not seen as multifaceted, we're either seen or as good or bad, or if it was good, is in a way of appeasing the general public in a way that's not true to ourselves, rather than seeing that as black people we're not a monolith and we can become in different shapes, sizes, cultures, and as people, and should be treated equally as per that.
I would say it's more of a call of action, evaluate and share stories of, Black Africans, Americans that's happened in the past, such as, the Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, even Kunta Kinte, slavery, etc.
Recognizing our sort of trailblazers and pioneers before us. A lot of those have had their sort of history taken away from them. A lot of them have been neglected in terms of having their names highlighted in a positive light. So for me, it's an opportunity for this current generation to, pay homage to those before us, and for us to, continue to celebrate black excellence. Yeah, as a black man in the UK, 3 words to describe my experiences. I would say pride.
First one I'd say is heritage.
I would say excellence
Triumph.
and understanding.
And then I'd say the third word I'd pick is this unique.
I would say what describes me as a black man is that I feel valued, I'm resilient, and I'm also confident.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of things I think as a black man in the UK, it can be quite tiring. It can be quite exhausting. It's little things like going to the shop, going to the supermarket, going into stores, and being followed by security because of they probably assume that you're going to be, stealing from the shops. It could be, elderly women crossing the road because they're out of fear of, someone like myself mugging them. And really and truly, I'm probably the most likely to protect them. So it's a lot of things that goes into your mind all the time as a black man in the UK. Even for me, from personal experience, like just going picking and choosing what pub I want to go to watch a bit of football with my friends. If I'm in the wrong environment, suddenly I'm then conscious about, are people looking at me? Are they going to say things about me? Am I going to be a victim or subject to racial abuse? So there's continuous things that goes through my head every day, and it is very exhausting.
No, not really, because again, it's a weird one. Like sometimes I feel that as humans, I see us as one race. As a black man, we are judged before we even open our mouth. We're judged by our appearance. But as I've matured and older, I tend to ignore all that. I focus more on the being 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 the bigger person, should I say.
I believe it was Kevin Lee on Joe Rogan podcast once said, what hurts sometimes is not the fact that you've not been told you can't do something, but it also hurts just as much when you're told that, when you don't get told that you can do it. Just negative discrimination, the fact that we are, pulled over for certain crimes at a higher rate, but not actually arrested for it or accused, or how every single year Notting Hill Carnival happens and a lot of these negative narratives come out about it, but then we've got so much positive that outweighs it. Somehow the negative always get the headlines. And it can be frustrating at times. And I think as a black guy, sometimes you have to go through knowing when to ignore something and not give it power, and knowing when is the right time to address something right away and stamp on it before you can grow. And that discernment can be draining, but look to educate those that will listen and not to tolerate those that are ignorant to it.
Yeah, I think there's a number of positive initiatives from the Black community in the UK. One that I'm very close to and been a part of for several years is the Football Blacklist celebration, which is in partnership with the Premier League. The Blacklist celebrates Black excellence in football. It highlights and recognises trailblazers, pioneers, those at the heartbeat of the community that are doing great work. So it's not only just the Premier League players that get in the limelight. There's people that are at Hackney Marshes on a Sunday morning or doing great work in the community. So it's recognising them every year. There's a massive annual event that takes place, and it's really a good networking opportunity and inspiring the young generation to see that there's people that look like them, talk like them, walk like them. Not necessarily footballers, but those in the community who they can aspire to be like and to work with and to network with.
One initiative that comes to mind is Mentivity by, I think that is led by Mr. Sace Holmes Lewis. Apologies if I've messed up the name pronunciation, but he does a lot of work in the community, a lot of social work in regards to getting kids that are a threat of, making mistakes in their lives in regards to making wrong decisions in their environments, and giving them opportunities to explore different areas of life that are more positive, and giving them access to opportunities and different people that can help them better themselves through just career paths that they may have not known or been open to, or different ways of thinking of life that helps them better themselves from their environments. Also, Step Now is another one. So they're a youth-led organization transforming the well-being of young people facing the plethora of social barriers and guiding them into changing opportunities to give them better futures. I'm also aware of Box Up, formerly Box Up Crime, I believe, but that's an initiative by Stephen. I apologize for forgetting the surname. He's a Ghanaian brother, so shout out to him. So he uses the initiative of boxing as a way to get these kids something disciplined to do, get them off the streets, as in the name as it goes, Box Up Crime. So using boxing as a way to not only just, give these kids something to do, but I believe that boxing as a whole can be used as a discipline to get people in a structured mindset, get them to overcome mental barriers, get them to beat themselves mentally as well. So one thing I like about training is, over the years, what it's done is push me to my limits to where I didn't know were physically possible. And it puts me in a mindset that if I can, overcome myself mentally and physically through training, I can apply that to different aspects of life and knowing that I can overcome. So those are some of the initiatives. There's also the Forbes Family Group.
The positive, I'll say, there's more Black businesses, Black-owned businesses. There's more Black entrepreneurs. And, as a community, people are now starting to support one another, whether it be in, food shop, weave shop, etc. Weave as in hair. Not, yeah.
Just to be able to live a normal life. I think a lot of the time it's just more of, is not asking for much, just to reduce the level of negative discrimination that happens, just to be given a fair shot at many things, and for people to understand that the exception is not the rule. Because I think sometimes what people see is, oh, well, this Black guy is being able to make success of himself, why can't others? But the exception is not always the rule. Someone breaking through a broken system doesn't mean that, yes, it can happen, but it doesn't mean that, why is the system broken in the first place? Why can't the system be fixed? So that for all the people that keep on saying you should be, when they see certain schemes like what Stormzy does of sending Black people to Oxford, and some people are just like, well, that's a bit racist, why can't he do that for everyone? But it's like, if you actually look at the statistics, he literally has to do that because there's so many Black people that don't get opportunity to go to Oxbridge. They don't get opportunity to have a fair shake at those things in society. So that's what it is sometimes. It's just equality and equity is all we ask for. There's nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I think I would like life in the UK to be accepting, there to be a lot more unity, togetherness. We do have that, but there's a lot more that we can do. You only got to look at the recent news where there's been a lot of riots and a lot of protests about several other communities, and it starts to question, you know, how safe are you in the country that you're born and raised in? So I feel that, you know, for me, it's about being more comfortable in the UK. As I travel outside of London, sometimes that's when I then, you know, start to question how safe am I as a black male going into other areas. I think sometimes you probably get a bit, I won't say naive, but you kind of get so comfortable into your melting pot in London, where it's very multicultural. As I think only until you kind of move outside of other areas into more rural areas, where you start to see the numbers decrease, and it becomes a lot more marginally white, for example. That's when you start to question, you know, should I be here? Do I belong here? And I feel as if in this day and age as we are, that shouldn't be something that comes to my mind anymore.
You know what? I'd say just equal opportunity. And when I say equal opportunity, just going back to when I said about organization, because in organizations, I don't really see much black directors. And I'm talking about, when I say organization, I'm referring to like corporate companies. So I tend to see different race that are directors, CEOs, etc. I don't really see much, but I would like to see more, you know.
And the same goes obviously not just for black men, but for black women as well. A lot of the time in society, they don't get as fair a shake. Even for me as a black man, I can say that I know that black women get a worse shake than us sometimes, but just being in a situation where, one, we can uphold each other, but then two, to be in a nation that knows, that appreciates the value of us, doesn't devalue us.
I think my family, those I'm around, they inspire me. You know, of course, I work in sport, and I work in the sort of boxing space. I think two role models. I've been blessed to have a number of role models, but I'll give a shout out to Leon Mann and Rodney Hines, who are the founders of the Blacklist celebration. They're two of my mentors, and they've been someone that's been people who've encouraged me over the years, as from a teenager to a man in my 30s now. So yeah, I want to use opportunities just to big them up.
Many people in history, I mean, there's bigger figures in history. Obviously, you've got like the Malcolm X, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Patrice Lumumbas, etc. But for me specifically as well, and personally, just the everyday person, my uncles, my parents, my family, the next generation. I feel like a lot of the time we see inspiration on the TV or we follow social media too much. But I remember growing up saying my inspirations, like my first hero is my dad, and like just seeing my family go strength to strength, that's inspiring. Just seeing when I've been down and my family's just being able to pick me up. And that's when I say my family, it's not just my blood family, but like my friends as well, my very close friends. Like seeing the triumphs that we've come strength to strength, knowing where we come from, and seeing how we all achieve great things, seeing one friend achieve great thing, we celebrate that person, they share the knowledge, then another friend achieves great things, and so on and so forth, and we keep that ball rolling. I feel like a lot of the time we don't give enough credit for people that are redeeming themselves for making bad mistakes in their lives. A lot of the time people are too harsh in society, where we don't look at the person who, you know, may have grew up in a rough background that we're not aware of, that made the wrong decisions, and then, you know, they come out of bad circumstances. I believe the person that comes to mind is Bobby Kasanga, who has spoken on this story of how he came from bad circumstances. He came out of prison. He set up Hackney Wick FC, which is an initiative to ensure that people that come from where he's come from don't make the same mistakes, and they have the opportunities to make better decisions.
Anthony Joshua. My reasons for this is because, you know, we come from a similar background. You know, what he's done in the sport of boxing and what he does for charity, what he does for kids, etc. I think is very inspiring because, you know, for a black man already, you know, it's tough for them. But when they do positive things, a lot of people can impact it, and the young ones, you know, they can look up to it, and hopefully one day do better, become better.
I've been very fortunate growing up in London because as much, you know, adversity that I may have faced, discrimination that I may have faced, I've also been fortunate in feeling a lot of love in this part of Britain, where I've grown up with people from different European backgrounds, different Asian backgrounds, different, you know, background from the Americas, different African backgrounds, and so on and so forth. And I've seen so much proof of us being able to get along as a community, where it makes me know that it's not impossible to have more harmony. I think the biggest case of that was when there was the riots not too long ago, and then, you know, you saw those rumors of the rioters making their way to Walthamstow, shout Waltham Forest. And I saw so many people, different race, creed, background, come together, and they were just like, not in my community. And that glimmer of light from seeing all the negative and the horrible videos and footage that we saw on the news, knowing that my community came together and just said, nah, we're not having it. And especially, obviously, we're in Britain, so the wider population is white, but you saw many white people that's lived amongst, you know, different races and such growing up, and we were all together hand in hand, just on a thing of, we're not having that no more. We don't have that around here. We can all get along, and that type of love is what I feel like builds community. So that's all I can ask for, is that's the love to build community, for there to be equity as well as equality, and just to build from there, and that mindset.
No, I just want to just. I think for me, I'm proud to be black. As a black British man in this country, I'm proud of my achievements. I'm proud of what I've done. I just like to just use the opportunity just to, you know, reclaim narratives, and also to highlight those who are doing great work. There's several, you know, black people in the country that are doing really, really great things that are inspiring us day in, day out, and they deserve to be recognized and to have their moment to shine.
Read, do research on the background of Black British history in the UK. Not just, a lot of the time, like I mentioned before, with Black history, we look at American figures, which is good. It's good to always have inspiration of other people in other places that's done great things, but to know the British Black history and just what people, whether it's the Windrush generation, whether it's a generation of like African immigrants that came here, knowing what they endured, but knowing also the doors that they opened for us, not wasting the opportunities that they opened for us, but honoring them by opening those doors even more and passing back the information, not being crabs in the bucket, and just destroying stupid stereotypes. But most importantly, like I said, read and take in the right information. A lot of the time with social media, I feel like there's so much information that we take in, and it's not healthy. The amount we take in isn't healthy, and what we take in sometimes isn't healthy. So to be mindful of the information you take in, to be mindful to do research, and to be more informed on Black British history and the positive that it's come with, and to learn as well from each other's in everyday lives, and to be cultured.
Life is good. Just love, help one another, support one another, and just enjoy life. positivity. Hey, when the phone drop, track, edit that out.
Anyway, so wait. Go again. Apologies.
So
Whoops, sorry.